make it a little more interesting, a little bit more challenging. And so how I'm starting this is, first I put a circle on top that is the right size, that it matches the end of the wood, it lines up on each side. I do that on each end, and then I draw the same circle here where it matches up with the edge of the wood, and I do that on all four sides. And then I draw it again to where it just overlaps a little, about like you can see there, so that way they stay connected after I carve away the excess wood. So I draw one there, again, same thing on each side. So the next thing you do is you carve away the corners, which is pretty simple. I've got those already done. And then for these sections, you draw a line straight up and down from there to there, and you make a plunge cut. You just, with the center of your knife, you put it right there in the center, and you make a plunge cut, which is a type of stop cut, and you carve out that, carving away from yourself. You turn it, and again carving away from yourself. You remove that, and you keep going until that whole area is removed on each side. And then after that, it's the same process as carving a ball. You shape the wood until it's in a ball shape. But and you could, if you wanted, not even continue to the ball in a ball if you're not that advanced in carving yet. You could stop with this being one project, and when you're done, you'd have a lovely pair of balls, which it's very good carving practice for someone that is new to carving, and also a little bit of an amusing conversation piece that you can have on a shelf. People ask, what is that? And you say, I've taken up wood carving, and then you can show them your newest carving. What I have gotten done is I've removed all the corners, and I've removed the area in between here. So what you do next is you go all the way around and make a deep cut. I used an electric rotary tool to make it a little quicker, but you could use a knife and do the same thing. That way you can start shaping the balls. I will probably, I'm not sure yet because I haven't done it yet, I'll probably have to make that deeper, but I'll find out after I start shaping them. I took a pencil, and on one end I drew a plus sign, and then basically just roughly eyeballed it and went up and around straight to make it straight across. Put a plus sign on the other end and tried to keep it straight as I could, just looking at it, and then went on around. Then the center, I made the plus sign on that, and then kept going on another one. I made a plus sign on each side, and then put the line on around, and did the same thing on the other side. Then I'm taking, I use this piece of notebook paper, and this is basically almost 3/8 of an inch, and that's how wide I wanted my rails, was like this. So I folded the paper together to get the center line, and I marked that with a pencil right in the middle. That way I could put this down on here, line it up with that center line I drew around, and then I can take my black marker, this extra fine black marker, and then add all the marks for the rails all over it. And when I get all that done, I'm basically doing the same thing that you would on any ball in a cage. I'm taking my knife, and on these lines you go over the line and keep going over and over it till you make a stop cut that's a little bit deep, and you'll do that on each side of the area you're taking out. And then you remove a layer, go back over the stop cuts again, remove a layer, and as these rails is almost 3/8 of an inch across, that's how far the rails will be deep on the sides of them. After the rails, everything around them is removed down almost 3/8 of an inch, then what you will do is start shaping the balls. And so that'll be like a triangle here, and basically you'll start removing some from up underneath the outer edges of the ball, and you'll start shaping the ball. Well, I now have the rest of the marks on the wood, and I think that looks pretty good. I think straps look good on balls. That's a good idea. Maybe that's something that somebody could start selling commercially. So now I just need to remove the excess wood in between the rails. I'm not really sure about how this is going to work out here, this section, and across from it, this section. Normally, what I seen was one ball and a ball, and I had the idea to put two together. I still think this is going to work okay. I'll just have to continue on and find out for sure. This is now getting to be at a point that's kind of tricky, so I thought I would show how to do that area. After you have removed all four of these pieces on both balls, then you come to an area where the rails connect, like you see right here and here. And I've did this part. It comes to a point back in there, and this one I haven't done yet. And so what you do is, now I'm not actually carving at the moment, I'm just showing you how to do this. If I was actually carving, I would have my gloves on. But what you do is, right level where the two rails go together, you make a stop cut back there, lined up even with those two rails that go on back, and then you turn it over, and again right where those two rails go together, you just make another stop cut back in there, and then you you cut down under that area. I'm blocking the light. Then you cut below that area crosswise, and then you cut below on the opposite side crosswise. So that's how you and then when you're done, you end up with a pointed area that goes back in through there. And that way it'll look like that when you get all 4 points done. I've still got a lot of cleaning up to do because this is still in progress. And I'm going to cut down deeper right here. But it is coming along. I was concerned that this project wasn't going to turn out because it was simply my idea to put 2 of these together. But now I can see it is going to work. So I'm real happy about that. So this project is coming along really well. I got it this far along. I will admit that right here I broke a section out of the rail. This is basswood, which is very soft, and I've never had a problem with, if I break a piece, if I can glue it back in with super glue and it's not very noticeable, I don't consider that a failure. I consider it problem solving. It's a solution. And then, so if you do the same, it's entirely up to you whether you tell anyone about it or not. Now with this, I'll end up adding a little bit of wood filler right there. That's one good thing about basswood. It's the same color as the wood filler that I use. I wonder if that makes me a ball buster. I broke my balls. So, one thing I wanted to show you is, when you get it to this point, then you take your knife, after you've removed these areas down to that point, and you get the rails as deep as you want them. Then you take your knife and go back up under the rail on one side, turn it over, and take your knife and go up under the rail to help free it from the ball. And you do that at each place that the rail connects to the ball. After you get that done, all you do is make the ball smaller and shape them. I got my project finished. I think they turned out reasonably well. I did mention earlier about the rails being almost 3/8 of an inch across, and then also quite deep. They're also almost 3/8 of an inch deep. It's good to make them deeper than you actually want them to end up, because by the time you work on separating the ball from the rail, you lose a little bit of your railing. This project was actually twice as hard as the ball in a star was, and it also took twice as long. This isn't an easy project. It looks like it would be easy, or easier, but it was harder than it looks like. For some reason, balls just don't come natural to me. I don't know why. Ow! Just got bee stung. Ow. Anyway, this project is now completed.